Hello, Philadelphia Family Pride families. My name is Sandra Telep. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I live in West Philly with my partner, our two children, Leo, who's 11, and Rory, who's 9, my father-in-law, and our dog and 2 cats. My first introduction to PFP was over a decade ago when I first moved to Philadelphia with my partner and a newborn, and we didn't know a single person in the city. Those of you who have had the pleasure of parenting a newborn will know that that can be a beautiful time, but also a really isolating time. And being in a new city and not knowing anyone was really hard. Thankfully, I connected with PFP and I, found my tribe. I made some lifelong friends that I'm still close with today. I eventually went on to serve on the board, and I still am so grateful for all the community and resources that PFP makes available to queer parents in the Philadelphia area. So the last 2 years have been really hard. Figuring out how to keep our families and our community safe, navigating new boundaries, making a million micro decisions a day that feel huge and involve things that we might have never thought about before. Those feelings of isolation resurfaced. It was really challenging. Amongst all those challenges, there are also lots of silver linings. And there's one thing in particular that I'm especially grateful for that we implemented early on in quarantine, and I credit it with getting us through the last 2 years. It was right after those first couple of weeks. Up until then, we had kind of treated it like a vacation. We were like, kids, go ahead and have some junk food, watch as much TV as you want. Like, we're just gonna get through this and then everything's gonna be okay. But as the situation evolved, it became clear that there was no obvious end in sight. And we realized we needed to establish a sense of normalcy for our kids and ourselves. So what we ended up doing was kind of hearkening back to those toddler days, back when we would do sticker charts, like they would get a sticker for going to the potty or setting the table, or we wanted something in that vein. But the thing was, now we have preteens, so same, but different. We knew we needed to give them some guidance and direction, but we didn't want to schedule them. So what we ended up doing was creating a list of goals. Ideally, these would be daily goals, but if you didn't get to every single one, that was fine. It was more of a guidance. And what it ended up doing was really clarifying our priorities, what we want out of life. And it did end up being our own recipe for resilience, because it took us from trying to survive quarantine to thriving within the situation that we were given. And this list is something that I hope we carry on into the rest of our lives. So our list was 10 things. Learn something, be helpful, move your body, get outside, make something, connect with someone, nourish yourself, read, solo time, and gratitude. Now, a lot of these things can be paired up or stacked so that you can check off a couple boxes at once. But this really is, the core of what we hope our lived experience to be. So these goals are pretty straightforward, and they weren't new. I mean, these goals had existed in our lives already, but the thing was that the way we achieved them had either dramatically changed in many cases or completely disappeared. So really working to clarify what the actual goal was. Like, the goal wasn't to go to the gym, the goal was to move your body, and that could look like a hike or a yoga video. And the goal isn't to travel to Mexico, although maybe it is. I do miss going to Mexico very much. But it was maintaining those relationships with our family. So making sure that we could FaceTime or write letters or exchange pictures more than we usually did. all these things, reframing that while our goals are remaining the same, the way we achieve them might have to change, was really helpful. And I do want to just do a quick note on gratitude, because we really did try to focus on gratitude, but I want to clarify that we didn't do that in a vacuum. We were very intentional about naming and talking about the challenges of the past 2 years. But also we would encourage them to think about the other side of the coin. So, missing your friends and family, let's talk about it. But let's also recognize how lucky it is that we live in the age of technology, where we can just FaceTime our family in a different country. Or, oh geez, living in a city is great, but this experience is making me really wish I had a big yard. Yes, valid. But also, we live in a state that has these incredible parks that we can just drive to and take a hike, and we get to experience the seasons in this part of the country, etc. Or the fact that, we have a full house. My partner and I both work from home. My father-in-law is retired and the kids were doing remote school. So there was a stretch there where we were just always at home. And thinking about how lucky it is that we had recently moved into our own home after living in apartments for a long time, meaning that the kids each got their own room and they had a place where they could go and take a beat. Just all the many, many ways that we are so lucky. And the biggest one of all, that we enjoy each other's company, that even though we drive each other crazy sometimes, at the end of the day, we're really glad to be each other's family. There's a lot to be grateful for, even in the hardest times. I guess that's all to say that the biggest lesson I have taken from this experience is to keep the big picture in mind and be really clear about what makes life worth living, and make sure you're doing those things however they fit into your current situation. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, PFP, for having me, and I hope you have a wonderful conference. Take care. Bye.